Welcome back to the real Joseph Latman. I am Joseph Latman, Sunday night live edition, late night here. As we react to the breaking news today, is the Cleveland Browns hired Ken Dorsey as their new offensive coordinator. But before we get into that, if you're new here, please subscribe for me. Everybody hit the like button for me on the way in. Share this content, really appreciate it. Help me fight the algorithms and grow my channel more. We're also going to be reacting to for a couple minutes towards the end of the show to this hell of a game here between the San Francisco 49ers and Detroit Lions as San Fran comes back in the second half, down 24-7, and comes back to win the game 34-31 here. So we might get our Detroit correspondent and fan here, Gurgs, on tonight. See his reaction. It's kind of rough. I feel bad for Gurgs and everybody in Detroit. That was a rough loss. Similar to Cleveland, just always something crazy going on. You think you're going to win the game, and then the team just gives it away. But we'll get into it. But so, like I said, breaking news today: the Browns hired Ken Dorsey as their new offensive coordinator. I like the hire. When I did my show the other day, I wasn't really sure about Ken Dorsey. I was like, yeah, I'm not really sure. You got to let go of Buffalo. And I wasn't really sure they would hire him. I thought maybe Kellen Moore would be the guy, but they went ahead and went with Mr. Dorsey, and I like the hire. Actually, I'm doing more research on him. Now, I think if Kevin gives up the play calling, I think I really like it a little more because I think it would just give a different flavor. And I think that's what's best for Deshaun right now is having his OC as the play caller. Not that Kevin wouldn't collaborate or anything, but I think it'd be more kind of like I mentioned in my show the other day. I think the OC would have a more laser focus on the offense where Kevin can do what he did well this year, which is be the CEO, run the team, still give his input, and keep the team going. But one thing that really stood out to me about Ken Dorsey is, and the hire itself, is I think Deshaun Watson really had his hand on this. That's just my observation from the outside. Because you look at Ken Dorsey, he would also coach Cam Newton, who is one of Deshaun's good friends, just on his podcast. And Cam Newton had his best seasons under Ken Dorsey as his quarterback coach. He was MVP of the league, made it to the Super Bowl. Ken Dorsey, also a former player, played for the Browns at one point, so I do like that aspect of him. And I think when you look at when the Bills let him go, I don't know if you can really say it was Ken Dorsey's fault. They actually statistically, offensively, they got worse when Ken Dorsey left, and I feel like a lot of that was more just the team itself. And you look at how they finished the season too. If you're going to question anybody in Buffalo, it really should be Sean McDermott. If you want my opinion on it, that's my opinion. I think Sean McDermott should be on the hot seat more than anybody. So I like the hire. I think Deshaun definitely approved of this one, with the connection there to Cam Newton, his what a good buddy. And I think I like what Ken Dorsey's going to do here. I think the Browns are looking pretty good right now in that department with him as the OC. It'll be interesting to see now with the personnel. They got their staff filled out now. So joining me now is the man himself, Sir Antonace. Mike.
The man. Hey, how you doing this fine evening?
Pretty good. I'm kind of surprised at what I just watched. Not gonna be on. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
man,
Dan Campbell's gonna get it in the media room. They are not gonna treat that man nice.
No, but nice day for the Browns though, Mike, as we get a new offensive coordinator up in here.
Yeah, absolutely. And yesterday we hired a new defensive line coach too, which it's pretty interesting.
So far, we have Tommy Reese as the new tight end coach. We have Deuce Staley.
Yep.
Now Ken Dorsey and that guy. I'm gonna look up his name.
Yeah, look up. I can't remember. It starts with a J. He was the Texans defensive line coach.
Okay. Well, Mike, what was your thoughts on the hire and Ken Dorsey and everything here going on in Cleveland?
I was less worried about the Ken Dorsey interview. Like some people, it was a head scratcher for some. They were like, well, you got fired in the middle of the season from Buffalo. And, it's one of those things where I really don't think it was so much on Ken Dorsey. Because like you said before I got in here, statistically, the Bills offense did get worse after Joe Brady took over in Buffalo. And Ken Dorsey is really good at doing things that the Browns struggle doing, which is, inside zone running. Him and Deuce Staley going to, help a lot out of that. A lot more shotgun RPO stuff, a lot more Pistol. He loves to run pistol, and he knows how to run like quarterback runs without just being like QB power to the point where like, the quarterback's not running into a linebacker every time. So
right.
I think Ken Dorsey and what he was able to do with Josh Allen, I think he's very good at it. And I'm really excited to see what he does in Cleveland. I do suspect that the Browns are going to be getting a bigger bodied receiver who's a really good 50-50 ball guy, because Ken Dorsey
Higgins.
pretty much always, Higgins or Mike Evans. Mike Evans might be the more realistic option, because I would love Higgins, and I think the Browns would love Higgins, but it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, he won't play on a franchise tag if the Bengals tag him, but that just means the Bengals aren't going to trade, they're not going to trade in division. So if that happens and he doesn't want to play on the tag, they'll probably get something from him from someone. So I worry about that. But there's a great amount of wide receivers out there that are available. I mean, you got, Michael Pittman, Mike Evans. There's some guys you might be able to get on a trade, like Terry McLaurin. DK Metcalf is an interesting prospect because, he might be available, because it looks like Seattle is going to start the slow rebuild. They have a lot of young talent in the wide receiver and pass catching room and the running back room. They're going to want to get a young quarterback behind all that. So I think that's the most interesting name that would fit super well here is DK Metcalf. He would work perfect in a Ken Dorsey scheme because Ken Dorsey is really good at getting, man-on-man ISO, and DK Metcalf is just the ultimate 50-50 ball catcher. He's basically he's a tight end that can run faster than a normal tight end can.
Right.
Like DK Metcalf is a machine.
By the way, the coach's name is Jaquez Cezier.
Jaquez Cezier. Thank you.
Cezier. I don't want to butcher it. Sorry, whoever your name is.
Sorry, Jaquez.
Welcome to Cleveland. We're happy to have you.
Yeah, welcome to Cleveland, Coach Jay.
Yeah, Coach Jay. That's how they're a basketball coach in middle school. Coach Jay. Shout out Coach Jay.
Yeah, shout out Coach Jay. Welcome to Cleveland. But yeah, no, I think it's really, really exciting times here in Cleveland. I mean, I think we had a great season considering everything that happened, and the players, even though it took them a day, but I've kept up on what the players, the vibes are amongst them, and it sounds like they're really excited to see what next year brings. And Deshaun seemed excited about getting a new offensive coordinator on his podcast. I watched the most recent one.
Yeah, I did too.
On the Lockerverse app. Shout out to the Lockerverse app, which I'm pretty sure either Deshaun owns or his quarterback coach owns. One of them.
Him or Quincy or something. I'll have to look into that, but I like it though. Really good.
Yeah, go check out the Lockerverse app. I believe there's a special podcast for the Browns, the Eagles, the Texans, and I think one other team. And it might be Quincy Avery's podcasting company, because all those teams are have quarterbacks that he coaches, because he coaches CJ Stroud, he coaches Jalen Hurts.
Right.
But yeah, really, really excited. Who do you think out of all those wide receiver names, who do you think out of what you've seen of Ken Dorsey and what he was able to do with, Keldon Benjamin and, Stephon Diggs and those kind of guys out there in Buffalo, what name do you think would work well for him? Obviously, Amari's going to fit anywhere because he's Amari Cooper.
I think Amari's going to do well, obviously. I think T. Higgins actually would do, and I think it's feasible. I think Deshaun knows it, and he knows it. That's why they lobbied it out there. I'm not really sure about Mike Evans. You might think I don't know. I have to look more into that. I think T. Higgins is an option. I think a guy like Terry McLaurin, does Terry McLaurin kind of remind you a little bit of Steve Smith Jr., who they had in Carolina? You know what I mean? In terms of a deep ball threat, versatile guy. Because Terry's a versatile guy. He can run deep. He can run intermediate. He can run a lot of different routes. And he's a great blocker, too. You know what I mean? Just kind of like that gritty.
I'm trying to think of who Terry. That's a good question. Who's the Terry McLaurin comp?
Because I think. Steve Smith. But
yeah.
You know what I mean? Steve Smith was a gladiator of a player, could run deep, could do was a great block. You know what I mean? He did that. Yeah. Terry is kind of the same way. He was like that in college. So I'm just saying, I think Terry would do really well. I think Elijah Moore actually could benefit from this as well. I think getting back to what he should be doing, more running routes, not running behind. No more of the trick stuff, more just down. Downfield, doing what he does best, getting open in space in the middle of the field. And I think David Njoku, you think he had yak this year? Wait till next year.
Oh yeah. If there's one thing Ken Dorsey loves, Ken Dorsey's never had a tight end like David Njoku. Like he was making.
And not only that, because you said he likes to run a lot of pistol, which I like with Deshaun. Imagine that
Ton of
RPO action, like what similar to what Baltimore does with Lamar and Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews gets a lot of targets, so I think you'll see something similar here with Deshaun and Njoku in the system. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Imagine you think David had yak this year, he's gonna be getting a lot of layups next year, Mike. You know what I mean? So I would probably see T. Higgins, somebody like that. I think they need the bigger body guy though that could do a lot of run a lot of those routes, and then probably draft a kid.
Yeah, I think we'll take
I
it.
think we said
Somebody
Cohen.
later.
I like Cohen or
I
Brandon
like
Rice.
Cohen. There's a cat out of North Carolina I really, really like.
I've seen him too. I think the guy gets some speed. Somebody with some speed. You know what I mean? They can do some versatile, take the top off the defense. Kind of mix it. You want versatility, so I think that's what Ken Dorsey's going to provide in the offense, collaborating with Kevin. I think it's going to provide, and Deshaun's a versatile quarterback, so it's kind of a match made in heaven. And you go watch what he did with Cam Newton, Carolina, when he won MVP. You know what I mean? A lot of different things they could do and give defenses a lot of headaches. You know what I mean? So I like it. But I would say probably T. Higgins, but I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens.
It will be, yeah. Like that, I would love T. Don't get me wrong. I think the Browns would love T. Higgins. I think they would pay T. Higgins whatever he wanted. But the only issue with T is there's the there is the possibility that the Bengals tag him. And he already said he won't play on the tag. I just think they'll tag him and then make sure they trade him out of division or even out of conference.
That's a possibility.
That's my only worry.
That's where you can see Mike Evans maybe, or
or
maybe
like
DK. I mean, do they want to pay DK? I don't know if how the money would match on that, but I don't know if.
If we're willing to pay, if we're willing to pay T. Higgins, then that pretty much means, and Mary Kay's reported that the Browns are interested in going after T. Higgins, and they know T. Higgins is going to be.
We said it 2 months ago. I think Chops even said it. You know what I mean? So it's been out there. They've been known it for a while. So,
right. And the Browns know that cat's not going to be cheap. So if the Browns are willing to pay T. Higgins, they're willing to, pay anybody. Is the way I see it.
You got your number one receiver for the next 5 years.
I agree.
I think you still got Amari, but I think T will evolve into that number one guy, and T can be the number one guy by far.
If you want to go the younger route, for me, it would be like T than Michael Pittman, because Michael Pittman's still very young. And he had a great season. He had an amazing season, and I think he would do well on the team. He's a little bit undersized comparatively. Like him and Terry are kind of the same kind of caliber and size-wise. That's why I think if they didn't get T, they'd want a cat like DK or a Mike Evans, who's bigger but also plays kind of a different style than Amari. They're more like a bruiser receiver. But I would not be surprised to see Mike Evans in brown and orange, like if that's the player they decide to go with, because
I wouldn't mind that at all. I love Mike Evans.
Mike Evans is a Hall of Famer.
He's had 1,000 yards, I think, every year of his career. I mean, that's
every single year, him and Amari Cooper would shred. But hey, Schnooks, saw you sneak on in here.
Sneak on in.
Yeah, we also got a special guest in the backstage. I'm a Brant. We finish up here with the Browns, so we'll wrap this up here soon. But Dad, welcome on in, or Jersey, excuse me. What was you watched Ken Dorsey in college? I know you liked watching him in college. You were kind of telling about him earlier. What's your thoughts on the hire, and what do you like about Ken Dorsey?
Well, at first I was kind of like, when I first saw the news, I was kind of like, I don't know, maybe because I don't know, it was kind of wasn't a good reaction. You know what I mean? And the first thing I thought of because he got fired, but sometimes people just aren't good fits in certain situations. Doesn't mean they're not good at what they do. So, my memory of him is I just remember when he was at Miami, and they won a national title, and then the next year we played them, and I just remember seeing the dude for a young guy that was probably 20 years old at the time, just talking to all of his guys lined up on the bench when they were down, or the game was close, just to the leadership role that he took. It was just kind of like wasn't something you were used to seeing, and that seemed like that was his strength. So wasn't the most talented quarterback. I mean, had great college years, but here we'll see what the hell happens. You know what I mean? I mean, I just hope I just hope it's an upgrade.
Yeah, Mike, you want to go back to your point you brought up earlier about the system you ran? Maybe get your take on that about running more of the pistol and what's the kind of stuff you read about him, Mike?
Yeah, so Ken Dorsey, essentially what he's done for a long time is what everything the Browns really want to do, which is like inside zone running out of the gun. So those blocking schemes,
More north and south.
More north and south, exactly. A lot of RPO out of pistol and gun, and then getting a little bit more unique with like passing routes, like working the middle of the field, but also like he still does play action, but it's definitely like not Ken Dorsey's bread and butter at all. So I think it'll be a pretty good meld because you have Kevin Stefanski, who, in my opinion, is one of the best play action, minds in the league. Like play action, like a lot of those touchdowns Joe Flacco had, everybody was like wide open, like out of play action. Like he can get Jerome Ford or David Njoku, just like nobody on him. Ken Dorsey's really, really good at doing that and ISOing on receivers. So just one-on-one with the corner.
Which is good for Amari.
Great for Amari and great for whoever we bring in. And, I think it'll be actually really good for our receiver development too, because, he's always been really, really good at like bringing receivers along in the offense. I mean, look at Khalil Shakir, who's really come along with the Bills since, he was working with them. And
he was still part of developing Josh Allen. He was his quarterback.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. For the last, 3-4 years. So it's not like he doesn't get credit for what some of the Bills' success they have. But Dad, what do you think of that, of the system and kind of stuff Mike put out there with the pistol, more of the RPO type with Deshaun's skill set?
Well, it's certainly suitable for Deshaun. You know what I mean? It's pretty much what he was doing in college. So I don't know. I think the system we've been running was not suitable for Deshaun.
No.
So sounds like it's going to be better, and because it's more of a collegiate system, and Deshaun should do well with it. So
do you like both question for both of you guys? Let's start with you, Jersey. Do you like how have you liked how Kevin's responded to the loss 2 weeks ago? Kind of these changes he's making. I think he's definitely done what he needed to do.
Well, the question is, why is he making the changes? Does he feel like he has to make the changes? Does he feel like, it really needs to be done for the betterment of the team? You know what I mean? That's the one thing we don't know. So something had to change on that offense. I mean, we said it all year. The play calling was just sometimes bizarre, odd. Would go away from the run. I mean, it looked great with Flacco. But I mean, that
didn't always look like it flowed with Deshaun fully.
No, it didn't. It looked good with Flacco, but it just didn't fit what Deshaun is. So, and now we're starting to see that style work in the NFL. So, I mean, whatever, you got that kind of money invested in Deshaun Watson, you got to have him in the right system. I don't think he was in the right system. I don't think anybody could agree with that. So, and it's just so much. I think if you would have got to see Deshaun Watson play an entire season, it would have been even more apparent that it wasn't the right system for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think Dave even admitted that. You know what I mean? And he's even kind of hinted at it in his podcast. Or not, well, a little bit. You can kind of tell, like Mike, you were saying he's excited about the new offensive coordinator. And I mean, I think by the moves they've made, they've identified that as well. Don't you think, Mike?
Well, yeah, and even Stump Mitchell, when he was doing podcasts after he was fired, you know, he even said himself, like, hey, you know, it's no hard feelings. You know, the reason why they're moving on is because everything Kevin wants to do, they're doing for the betterment of the Cleveland Browns. Like, it's really a team thing. So he goes, I'm not upset. He goes, if you were to get AVP in here, he wouldn't be upset. TC McCartney wouldn't be upset. None of us are upset because, you know, we love Kevin. We love working with him. And they basically said they know that everything they did was for the betterment of the team. And he said that on, I think, ESPN Cleveland's podcast. And he was, you know, very candid. So he wasn't just, you know, doing like, you know, coach speak, if you will, because right after that, he trashed Kareem Hunt for 15 minutes. So
Yeah, that was crazy.
he was very candid. So I think Stump Mitchell couldn't lie if you tried. But, you know, so I think Kevin made these decisions because, you know, he's a good offensive mind. But obviously he wants to incorporate some new things. You know, every team needs to go through ebbs and flows. And, you know, when you have a coach that seems like it's going to be here for a while, I mean, like the Mike Tomlins or the Harbaughs or, you know, what have you. I mean, they change coordinators almost as much as they change socks. You know, that's just the way it goes. You know,
Well,
like Tomlin's going to have 3 coordinators in 2 years for the first time in a long time. So,
well, I think
it's healthy for the team.
No, I agree, and I think too. I like what Njoku said about him after the season, even though it was a week after the loss. You know, he didn't have to go out publicly and do that.
On Kay Adams' show.
I mean, you know, these guys are pretty calculated. You know what I mean? If he didn't have to say that, if he really didn't mean it. So
yeah, David Njoku definitely doesn't lie.
Yeah, no, you don't. He's real.
That dude's the most honest person ever.
I mean, the players they like Kevin a lot. They hung in there. They didn't quit on him. So I like this new role. It seems like he's stepping into, because I do think Ken Dorsey is going to call the plays. That doesn't mean it'll be collaborative. I think Ken will be the guy. I don't think he would have took the job, and I could be wrong, but I like that though. I think that's smart on Kevin, and like I said, he even looks like a CEO. You know what I mean? And he proved that this year he can manage. I just think you saw in that playoff game they needed to upgrade and get to it more of that, you know, elite status amongst the league if they want to really compete. So, which is what they're doing. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens. Dad, we mentioned our last question real quick to you before we move on to the games today. Mike brought up some receivers. Who just Mike Evans, Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, and then I brought up the possibility
of Higgins,
DK Metcalf via trade.
Which one of those guys do you like? Probably they come here.
Well, everything's about the quarterback, so I want T. Higgins. You know what I mean? I just want familiar. You know, it's a guy he's familiar with. It's a guy he likes. So I mean, your offensive system's got to work around that quarterback. And I mean, I would like any of those guys, but I think you'd be crazy not to take T. Higgins just because of the connection and being familiar with each other.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what happens. It's gonna be an interesting offseason, Mike. I know we can't wait for our draft party, that's for sure.
I'm so hyped for it.
Draft party here over at our house, so that'd be cool. But joining us now is our Lions fan, Chris.
Hey, Gurgs. That was a hell of a game, buddy.
I'm kind of stunned myself, Dad. I know you and I were looking at each other after the game, like, man, this is crazy.
I was rooting for you guys. I was a bandwagon Lions fan throughout the offseason. I really was.
I was rooting for the Lions heavy.
Dude, I'm on the Lions train, dude. I'm on it. After the Browns, I just love Dan Campbell, what I've seen. I'm on the Lions train. You know what I mean?
It's
not Cleveland.
The train's derailed now. I mean,
it's not. I mean, you got next season. I mean, they got a great thing going. So I'm on the. No, I mean,
they're not going anywhere.
I thought you just meant for the.
No. I mean, I just like, you know, sitting there and actually taking the time to watch him and listen to Dan Campbell. I mean, I'm just sold on Dan Campbell. Just there needs to be more coaches like him. And you know,
I will say Dan Campbell lost in that game, though.
No, he didn't lose in that game. I don't agree with that.
I would love to see what Gurgs thinks about that.
I know Gurgs and I agree. Dan Campbell did not lose in that game. Here, you stick with what you've done all year. You know what I mean? And maybe that last kick, maybe, you know, you kick it, but Their drop passes, the turnover. I told Gergs at halftime, you guys don't turn the ball over, you'll win.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I thought the game was
they turn the
over.
ball over, drop passes. You know, then you got to give San Francisco too. I mean, they turn the heat up, man. But the Lions they just didn't capitalize, didn't execute in the second half. But I don't blame Dan Campbell. He stuck with what got him there.
Chris, what's your reaction to the game, my friend?
Well, you know, I mean, it was going great, and then, you know, I mean, I
No, it sucks.
I don't
Oh, you're
I
still
don't
in shock.
I don't fault Dan Campbell. You do what got you there. At the
Okay,
end of the
that's fair.
day, I mean, Jameson Williams, with 5 minutes left, he could have easily caught that ball in the end zone, and they would have been up 4. I mean, we dropped 3 balls, we fumbled the ball, we dropped an interception that went off our face mask, and then they caught it. It just, there was a lot of things that happened in that second half that, you know, obviously that we could question. The second field goal I probably would have kicked, but a 48-yarder, I mean, I don't know. But I don't think that that first one here we made a stop. It's still, you know, I mean, we could have went down, and I mean, I don't know.
I get it. You're in shock, buddy. I get it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, well, here, I'm not in shock. I guess nothing really shocks me. But
That's fair.
But
yeah, we can identify with that as Clevelanders as well.
Yeah, I mean, here, I knew it wasn't over at halftime. There was a lot of game left. They got the ball. They scored. Obviously, we could have extended it to 17 again. You know, they kicked the field goal. We could have extended it to 17 again by kicking the field goal. But if Josh Reynolds catches that ball on 4th and 2, we're not saying anything about it. I mean, he dropped the ball. And then they go down. They hit a 52, a bomb that somehow was off our face mask that Brandon Ayuk still caught. I mean, there was just a lot of things that, and then
bad breaks and luck.
Yeah. Then we get the ball again on 3rd and 8. Josh Reynolds wide open again. He drops it again. I mean, it's just like, at what point, you know, and then we're still somehow in it, and we're down 3 in the 4th quarter with about 5 or 6 minutes left, and Jameson Williams drops a touchdown. I mean, just went right through his hands. And, you know,
is that the one he like tripped on the 1 yard line, or?
Yeah,
he rerouted. Then he rerouted in the middle of the route, and they tried to get him in the back of the end, right at the tip of the goal line.
Yeah, but it goes right through his hands. He could catch that.
Oh yeah, he can catch that for sure. I see him catch that same pass at Ohio State.
Yeah, 100 times. And I mean, again, and then, you know, we're up 4, so you don't even have to go for it on that 4th down. You know, that same drive. You know, so you don't even have to question that play if he catches it and he does what he's supposed to do. And then we're up 4 with about 5 to 6 minutes left, and then who knows what happens after that? You know, I mean, that's just here we didn't. You know, Gibbs fumbled. I mean, it just was. Gibbs hasn't fumbled all year.
He looked like a.
That was a broken play. Weren't they saying that was like a broken play? He was going the wrong way or something, or hit the wrong gap.
But he still had the ball in his clutch. He just completely fumbled the ball. I mean,
which is great, because he was having a monster game. He was tearing them up in that first half. Him and Montgomery. That O-line was killing. I mean, just dominated them front. I don't know. It's just odd. I think, like you said, in that second half, they just did not respond to the 49ers punches at all. They just, you know, drop passes. I like the drop passes by the one dude. What's his name?
Josh Reynolds.
Yeah, the two drop passes were very key. Kind of reminds me of the other game we'll get into about Zay Flowers today and his mishaps that really cost them.
Well,
yeah. I mean, I don't know. What do you think? What do you guys think the 49ers did more offensively in the second half? Because, I mean, that first half, they couldn't get anything going. I thought Detroit's defense, they were all over them.
Honestly, what I noticed, and this maybe you guys could agree with me, that I don't think the Lions like adjusted for was Purdy actually. They had one called quarterback run, and then Purdy felt comfortable to do that. So
That's what I was going to say. Purdy getting out running.
Yeah, he just kept finding open grass, and I think he had like 2 runs over 20 yards. So
yeah,
I
they
think
didn't contain him well in the one. I remember
no,
that one play.
I really think that's what it was.
3 guys should have sacked him in the pocket, and he rolled out left and then hit. I think it was Juszczyk on the sideline.
It also seemed like, I mean, as crazy as it sounds, McCaffrey just went into a different gear. I mean, he was running so hard.
Yeah, McCaffrey's so good at football.
I mean, it was like you don't even think there's another gear in the guy, but he ran harder in that second half than he did in the first half.
That man wants a ring. He had too many knee surgeries. He wants his ring.
It's amazing how that guy can impact the game.
Yeah, it's it's crazy. I've never seen the game like that where it's just a different story in the half. But
and they had good start, had good field position.
Yeah,
you get a fumble, 30 yards out from the end zone. You get, they didn't convert on that fourth down, so they had good field position the entire half, and and then Purdy getting out, running around, extending plays the way he did. That's just demoralizing to a defense. So, and then McCaffrey just turning up another gear. So, pretty much what it is.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I'm looking at our text chat right now. I got some questions I'm gonna ask, but I can't remember the question I was gonna say. Mike, you got something on the game? I'm trying to think. I just had a question in my head. I just totally forgot. I'm reading this. We got a group chat going right now. There's some interesting stuff being talked about. But in that second half, Chris, what did you think of the fourth down? I believe it was. Did you like the passing call, or did you rather run the ball? Or
I mean, of course you're running great. You're doing that, but again, it was a call that worked. It's just you got to catch the ball. You're a wide receiver. You catch the ball, and no one's talking about the play call. No one's talking about Dan Campbell going for it on fourth down. It's easy to, after the play, say that was stupid or what are you doing or any of those things, but it worked. You just got to catch the ball, which is your job as an NFL wide receiver. Those kind of things, obviously, I gamble and I bet and all those things, which I haven't in this whole postseason, but it's just those kind of things that make you think, like, I mean, that second half just looked fixed. It just did. I mean, you don't.
In what way
just,
do you think?
Well, you don't come out up 17, wrecking it like you are, and then just come out in the second half, drop 3 passes, 1 for a touchdown, 1 for a fourth down that who knows what happens next, fumble the ball first time all year, Jahmyr Gibbs. Hit off of a face mask, bounce right into your arm. Just like, what in the world? All that happens in 30 minutes of football? I mean, it just seemed just off. I don't know. And again, I'm not here. I'll take it like on the chin. It is what it is. The Lions had a great year and everything like that, but it just doesn't. You don't just drop wide open balls in the second half when you're making plays in the first half. It just doesn't seem. I don't know. And then watch it. And then another thing on that Brandon Ayuk on that third down, when it was third and 7 in the goal line, when he caught that touchdown pass, when he ended up catching that touchdown pass,
yeah,
you'll see C.J. Gardner-Johnson very easily could have maybe not even have dove, just reached his arm out and batted that ball down and didn't. It was, go back and look at that play, because you think to yourself, how are you in the NFL and don't try harder to get that ball? Like, it just didn't. I don't know. And again, you could pull up that play, but it was 3rd and 7. It was right after the helmet catch that Brandon Ayuk did, and CJ Gardner-Johnson makes a break on it, and then like he could have easily batted that ball down, in my opinion, and somehow it looked weird. Like, it's just like, wait, what? You need to go to the Super Bowl, dude. Like, how are you? I don't know. It just looked like a play that
Here it is, right here.
Could have very easily been deflected, for sure.
Yeah, here's the player right here.
Here's Birdie with a lot of time. Steps into one. Launching deep, going for
When
Brennan.
I'm talking about
That was the play I was thinking about.
Yeah,
You're thinking about the other play, okay.
That same drive, it was his touchdown catch.
Oh, you're talking about the touchdown. I see what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah. His touchdown, I mean, it just, I mean, it was, in my opinion, it just looked like it was supposed to happen. I don't know. And again, it is what it is. Gotta love it. It's football. For the first time in a very, very, very long time, we were there. So gotta be happy.
Yeah, and the other thing too is, like, you know, some of your best players. I mean, a lot of your best players, this was their first year in the NFL. So, I mean, you know, you have that going for you too. I mean, Gibbs, Laporta, you know, Brian Branch. I mean, you have all these fantastic players on the Lions that really you just hit on in the draft, and even Jack Campbell to an extent. I'd be really excited if I were a Lions fan for what the future may hold. If you get like a corner or two, you know, and you find someone on the opposite end of Hutch, I mean, you got a lockdown defense, and I think you're pretty stout on offense. So, you know, I think the arrow's only pointing up for the Lions. I'd be excited to see what would happens next year after they add to the roster, because your GM's proven that he can draft. So, you know.
Well, he has an old brownie in the front office helping him too. So
there we go.
That, and also oh wait, here I got a good view of it right here, Chris. Give me 1 second. Not only that, too, it's gonna be interesting to do with the offensive coordinator, because Ben Johnson's probably taking the commander's job.
Yeah,
it sounds like so.
It sounds like that it was already done, but they didn't announce it because of just, you know, you want to be nice. You don't want to announce.
Here's the touchdown pass Gertz was representing.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
I mean,
what are you doing, Gardner Johnson? Put your hand up.
Is Gardner Johnson number 1?
No.
We'll go that's slow-mo right here.
Yeah, sorry, it's a little blurry on my screen.
Slow-mo. Yeah.
Oh, right there. Okay. He's coming across the field. I don't know where. I'm more surprised about who's that? Okuda or?
No.
Okuda's on the Falcons. That's right. Never mind.
I wonder if he was more worried about the potential collision.
He's looking forward. Yeah,
maybe he was worried about getting a flag, or I don't know.
Well, he
would fly with his own player. I wonder if that's what he was.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean.
That's how
you got to lay out and tip that ball.
Yeah.
To me, that's awful.
Well, he never even looked back at the ball either.
Yeah, I think he just saw. He never looked back at the quarterback. Maybe he just saw like Ayuk, you know, crossing, and he was just trying to get there.
Yeah, he never really looked back at the ball.
but he just saw Ayuk getting open and he was just trying to like crash on it, which is, you know, that's a heads up play. He just didn't make it quick enough.
Dad, did anything, because I know you're always looking for that. Did anything stand out to you in the second half that made you think kind of otherwise about the game? What Chris was saying, it almost looked kind of like, like a movie in a way.
Yeah, the whole thing did. I mean, it's just such a different contrast from the first half. So I mean, I don't believe, it really makes you question it, because when you're that good of a team to you're that point in the season, you shouldn't. I was just sitting there saying this at work the other day. He goes back to the Falcons Patriots Super Bowl. I just don't believe a team that's in the Super Bowl gives up a lead like that in one half. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. And I also don't buy when there's this much money involved that there is in the NFL or college football, whatever. And there's that kind of money involved. There's always some kind of corruption. And the NFL loves narratives, and whatever the hell narrative they're trying to create, I don't know. But it's like WWF now. I mean, it's just not pure football. It's about it's more than football is what they're trying to achieve. So to think that it's just just straight up is, you got to be a naive son of a bitch to believe that. So I'm not saying that's what happened in this game, but it is kind of odd that a team's just firing. I mean, absolutely firing. And all of a sudden, there's just like they're totally different team. Both teams. It's like they just exchanged roles at half. So it's just really bizarre. And then the other thing that was kind of crazy is then they throw up that stat from 1957. It was identical, same score at halftime.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really, I don't know, and it's just not that game. I see it all the time in games. It's just, and a lot of times you get the officiating, the way they officiate games, especially in Chiefs games.
Like that one, I'll give you. Like, I don't think like they I don't think they like Mad Lib the game like a WWE match per se. But I will give you, I do think I agree with that. The NFL loves the narratives, and there's a lot of money involved. I do think the refs have way too much power, and if they like a certain team or a certain quarterback, that they'll be more favorable towards calls other than like, on the reverse side, like Patrick Mahomes, like we'll get on the ticky-tacky, like roughing the passer call that Clowney got today. That I'll give you. I think there is some like
Chiefs
rigging.
Game. The Chiefs game to me had a lot of weird.
I don't know if I would even call it rigging more so as much as like favoritism. Maybe
you can persuade a game by
they're controlling an outcome.
Well, here's another weird one on that big Brandon Ayuk where it was a pick, or hit the helmet and then Brandon Ayuk caught it. They threw a pass interference flag that play, and then after he caught it, they said, "Oh, well, there's no foul on the play for pass interference."
Mm-hmm.
Now, if that ball drops, is there a flat? Is there it's almost like they controlled and made sure that the 49ers were going to get the ball there, and it's like, oh crap, he actually caught it.
Right.
Well,
and
let me pick up the flag.
And the other part of that is there was absolutely zero interference on the player from Detroit.
No.
If anything, the interference could have been on Ayuk's.
Exactly. So it's like, that was another weird one to me. It's like, oh, you're just making sure that and then they were like, oh crap, he caught it.
Yeah.
I will give that the refs can be biased and are prone to favoritism. If you want to call that, that is unfair.
Games.
That is inherently unfair.
They can put their own money on games that they're calling. So,
well, they're the most easily compromised because all they give a shit about is having a job. You know what I mean? And then how much money they get? Could they be getting greased on the side? But here, you can get front office personnel compromised, coaches compromised. I mean, it's all about money. You know what I mean? Most of these people in these organizations, it's all about. Most people in life can be compromised for the right amount of money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What did I tell you in the first half, what city would be pissed if the 49ers did win? Remember we were sitting there, what did I tell you? Because it's more than just the NFL. With the Super Bowl's in Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's the 49ers fans are probably going to head to Vegas more than any other fan base out of the four today because they're the closest. They'll all travel there. So there's more money for the city, more money for the casinos, more money
All
for
I want to say is
is
congratulations to Patrick Mahomes on his third Super Bowl win, back-to-back Super Bowl MVP, because I don't think the Niners are going to win. I think Pat Mahomes is going to win. I know. I know. And I was just talking to you on the phone how I want the Niners to win because I don't want the Chiefs to win again. But it's just like, I feel like
every flag.
I'm sorry if I'm just transitioning into the Chiefs-Ravens game, but I just watched that game, dude, and I'm watching Pat Mahomes do stuff, and it's just like what can be done? Like this is the year that they looked most vulnerable as a team, and he's got like janitors running routes, and he's still getting it done, and like Travis Kelce's old bones out there, and like the most exciting player on the Chiefs team outside of Patrick Mahomes is Taylor Swift. Like, what he's throwing to nobodies, and like he's getting it done. And I'm not saying Travis Kelce isn't a somebody, but that dude is old. Didn't look old today, but that dude is old. And I just don't get it. Patrick Mahomes, if he wins the Super Bowl, another one, like, I think he's already one of the greatest of all time, but there might be like a real conversation of like, I don't know. He's doing so much with such less. Like, this was the year that I was like, oh, the Chiefs, they're going to be okay because of Patrick Mahomes. They're going to make the playoffs, win their division, this, that, and the other, but they're not going to go to the Super Bowl. They'll probably get first rounded. I was saying that. I was shouting it. I was sure of it. They looked vulnerable, and Patrick Mahomes willed them to the Super Bowl. It is insane. That's all I gotta say. The dude's a maniac. I don't know. He's a magician. He made he's got a blood demon or something, like sold to Molech. I don't know. Alex Jones, maybe he should know more. Who knows?
To me, today's Ravens-Chiefs game was way more about the Baltimore Ravens losing that game than the Chiefs winning it.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's fair, but still,
they completely, going back from what I say about Dan Campbell and the Lions, like, they did exactly what got them there. Today, the Ravens did exactly the opposite of what got them to be the best team that we've seen. I mean, the Baltimore Ravens team that we've seen today was a completely different team. I mean, they ran the ball 12 times up until like the last 10 minutes of the game. 12 times. I looked at the box score. With 10 minutes left in the game, they had 12 rushes.
That makes you wonder why. If we know this, doesn't John Harbaugh know this?
Yeah, like
maybe he thought he would catch him off guard. I don't know.
No,
it just doesn't really make much sense,
right?
As to why,
if they run the shit out of the ball, does Kansas City win?
Yeah, I mean, and then also I saw today a lot of Lamar Jackson. He is very. Hey, this year especially, he's actually surveyed the field a lot better and then ran. Today, it's like he didn't even want to run. It was definitely not the Ravens team we're used to seeing. Defensively, they did well, but
they got all the stops they needed in that second half. I mean, stop after stop after stop, and they could not. I mean, my gosh, not even a field goal.
A Zay Flowers fumble, Lamar Jackson. I mean,
you think maybe that's the problem? Like, their best receiver is Zay Flowers, who's a rookie, shorter kind of guy. I mean,
but
they've been doing the receiver by committee thing all season.
Don't taunt a guy. Don't shove him down in front of the referee and do the little gesture right in front of him and give. You just had this giant play. You're down within the 10.
Yeah,
and the
that's a rookie
mistake. Yeah, I mean, you make mistakes like that, and then to come back and fumble the ball, and then it just didn't stop from there. And then it was just Jadeveon Clowney late hit. I mean,
that was ticky tacky as hell. Like,
they're going to call it.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it,
It's
but
bad.
again, there was just a lot of like Chris. I feel like the Ravens really gave that game away. Like, I don't think the Chiefs really did it. The Chiefs did enough to win. That's all they did.
Lamar, yeah, they just. I mean, Lamar all year has those receivers have been good. Over the crossing routes in the play action and stuff like that, and they didn't even do it. Like, it's like they completely ran a completely different offense today.
And the Zay Flowers bomb was off of play action.
Yeah. Well, that's their bread and butter.
They get where was Likely today? And that kid's pretty good.
Well, but that's the thing. When you're not doing the play action passes and stuff like that they've always done, when there was no threat to run, those guys aren't. Nelson Aguilar isn't going to beat you one-on-one. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, Rashad Bateman isn't going to, Odell Beckham, he 6 years ago, he would have been great, but these guys aren't guys that are causing separation or anything like that. If you're passing the football, and Lamar Jackson, unfortunately, isn't a great enough passer.
No, and that was the difference too in the game.
To drop back as much without the threat of him even running, which is even more weird, because like I said, there was times where he wasn't really running the football well, or he wasn't even trying to run the football, and it just, I don't know, that was
makes you wonder.
Yeah, it was definitely a weird thing. I think the Chiefs, credit the Chiefs. I think the San Francisco 49ers bum rushed them.
Well, I hope they do.
What do you think about the game today, Mike or Dad?
I think the same thing that Chris is saying. Like, it's just kind of bizarre. A team that's just built on the run, and that's our identity, is the run defense, and they don't do that. It's just kind of odd. Now, on the other hand, the Chiefs look like the professionals out there, more witty, 10 steps ahead, experienced in those games. They weren't doing the stupid things that the Ravens were doing. But, if we know this shit, just living the lives that we live, you better believe an NFL coach knows. I mean, he why would you go away from everything, your whole identity, in a championship game? Why would you do that? You know what I mean? And we're so used to seeing Lamar Jackson run down the field, and he's like Chris said, this dude just wants to hang in the pocket all of a sudden. He's not moving. So, and here, you want to give a game away? You want to give every game away? I can tell you how Baltimore can go 0-17. Do that every game, because Lamar Jackson, I'm going to go back to what I always say. I love that guy. He's one of my favorite players now. He can't throw the ball. You can't rely on this guy to throw the ball, to throw you a win. He's just not going to do it.
He can't throw the ball on time and in those tight windows. And Kansas City just played a lot of soft cover 2 shell.
Yeah, they say, here, I dare you to throw it down the field. So it kind of goes hand in hand with the offense that Baltimore put out on field. They worked, you know what I mean? It's kind of like they collaborate, is how it seems. I mean, it's just really bizarre. So it just doesn't make sense. And you see it all the time. You've seen it for years. Here, you remember the 15 Ohio State team against Michigan State, where all of a sudden they just, in the second half, they just abandoned the run?
Yeah, that was because of their coordinating disaster.
You got Ezekiel Elliott, and all of a sudden you just stop running the ball. You just throw the ball and you lose the game. And even Ezekiel Elliott at the end of the game is like, what the fuck's going on?
Right.
I mean, it's just, it's if we see it, I'm telling you this, if the fans see it, ordinary people like us, there's shit going on.
Well, look at this right here. So on the left is the Chiefs, on the right is Baltimore. Look at the rushing attempts, 32-16. Who would have thought that going into this game?
Right.
That the Chiefs would run the ball double more than Baltimore did.
Right.
And they only averaged, look at the yards per rush. They only averaged less than 3 yards a carry. That's not really running the ball. Baltimore ran the ball 5 yards a carry. And you're just, I agree. And this is, it's, yeah. Even on those drives, like you said, Chris, even when the game wasn't out of hand, they were only down by like a score. They were still just back there, just dropping them back, throwing the ball. And you were even texting us like, why not just run the ball a little bit more? Like you're wasting. Like you had, I think it was the Chiefs' first 3 drives. Your defense did phenomenal. Got 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. Got them off the field. And that's what you do. And then eventually your defense gets tired as the game goes on. And you're fumbling the ball and just, I don't know.
Right. We don't think this shit for no reason. You know, it's not being pessimist or like everybody likes to conspiracy theorists. It's not just us either. It's lots of people, and it's becoming more and more prevalent. People are just like, I mean, even Dan's questioning this shit now. Like Dan's always been, I was always the guy saying it, and he was always defending the NFL. But even Dan's kind of saying it now, like, this shit don't seem right.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Mike, what do you think?
I mean, I think there's a little bit more nuance to what
I
happened
think it
in the
was
game.
really more of the bad game planning from, I mean, not running the ball more than 16 times.
I think it's more so like bad game planning plus nuance in the game. Like the most of those rushes came in the first half, and then they tried to throw it. I do agree that Lamar didn't try to run it at all. I don't know if he was hurt or what happened. He tried to escape the pocket on that one run, rushed to the right, and then he just got completely lambasted, which went into fourth down. They punted, and then he didn't even try to run again. So I don't know if he Lamar isn't like the most what do you call it? I don't want to say like he's not the most healthy player. That doesn't sound right, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like he doesn't absorb hits like he used to. And I don't know if he just got rattled and like didn't want to run after he got hit on that fourth down. Like maybe he thought they were looking for it because he was trying to scramble and they were kind of like just flocking to him. But as far as just like handing the ball off to Gus, I think that's just bad game planning. I mean, Todd Monken it's his first year there. I couldn't tell you. But yeah, I think what really lost them that game was the Zay Flowers fumble. That was atrocious, especially because, and that's a coaching issue. And the worst part about it is I like Zay Flowers as a player. I think he's going to have a really good career in Baltimore, but that is the most like rookie mistake that you cannot do at
Both
that
of them.
point in time.
The
Like
foul,
that's like the first thing they teach you as a wide receiver, like after you or anybody who's carrying the ball into the end zone. Do not stretch the ball out. Do not extend when you do not need to. He did not need to extend. He would have been in the end zone just from like the momentum, but he extended when he didn't need to. And he got the ball knocked out.
Or also don't stand over a guy and taunt in front of a referee either.
That too.
That was stupid.
I was just referring to the fumble in general.
Shout out to
Just I'll be back in a second.
He said,
I'll be back. I gotta say goodnight to your mom.
All right. Shout out to Astro Juicy. He said, bye-bye, Lions.
Shout out. Yep, they are indeed gone. They are on the road back to Motor City. What do you think they take? Do you think that they take a plane out, or do you think they got like one of them Ford buses?
Hold on.
Sponsored by Detroit.
Hold on, Mike.
Hey, I hope to God he's either a Chiefs or a 49ers fan, because, I mean, coming on here just with that hate, I mean, you better not be a Browns fan or any other fan that, your team's at home right now.
More than likely
if you're new here, Chris is
welcome.
A Lions fan.
Yeah.
Welcome. Yeah, welcome. I need everybody to hit the subscribe button for me. We're almost over 100 subscribers, so please everybody hit that like or hit the like button. But please subscribe for me as well. The link is also in the chat if you want to come up here and join. Maybe he wants to join. Yeah, but yeah, Chris is our Lions fan, and he like you said, Chris. Hopefully he's a Chiefs or 49ers fan. We'll see, but
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Chris,
Here,
what do you
it
think?
is what it is. They had a great year. They draft well. A lot of their players are young. Would I like to not rely on Josh Reynolds as much anymore this year or next year? Yeah. So I mean, would I enjoy spending a little bit of money on like a Calvin Ridley or just somebody opposite of St. Brown? That would be awesome. Because obviously we have Laporta, Gibbs, Montgomery. I mean, our offensive line's great. I mean, I like our offense, but I think that another nice receiver would be great. But honestly, if we can get some corner help, I don't. I see us right back here again this year, which is again next year. I mean, it's just something I never thought I really have seen. I haven't seen it. But I think that the Lions are definitely a team that should and will, be a regular in the playoffs for the next,
Now, let me
5
ask
or
you
so
this
years.
as a Lions fan, since I know this upsets me just as a Browns fan, but it's got to be upsetting to watch the Packers go from Bart Starr to Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers, now to Jordan Love. They seem to never be in quarterback purgatory. And it's boggling for me. And I think Jordan Love's great. Do you think that they're going to be the number 2 team? Like they're just not going to die and they're not going to go away now that they have Jordan Love and all of these. I mean, they are now the youngest team in the NFL. And I think the oldest player on their offense outside of their O lineman is Aaron Jones. So, what do you think of where the Packers are going to be going in your division? You think they're going to be the number 2 or battling for the 1 spot here with all that young talent as well?
Yeah, I think that they're a good team, and I think that they'll be there. I think Minnesota. I think Minnesota is definitely going to be the worst team in that division for the next,
Couple years.
5 years.
You,
I believe in Chicago too. I think Chicago is a good team. Um,
you
I
think they're going to trade Justin Jefferson instead
um,
of paying him all that money since they don't have a quarterback or anything?
I don't know. I mean, I think that they probably draft, their quarterback, whether it be Jaden Daniels or something like that. But I
He's a
think Kirk
dog.
Cousins. I think Kirk Cousins is gone for
He's a
sure.
Falcon, dude.
But yeah, I mean, here it is what it is. It is crazy that the Packers, have found another really good quarterback, but I think that we are deeper and just an
Oh
overall
yeah, no,
better
I agree
team.
with that. I just
But yeah, I think the Packers will probably make the playoffs for years to come as well. It's. I mean, here again, winning the division's nice, but we got a taste of that. Let's go to the Super Bowl, man. And I think that we're built. Again, we need a couple more pieces, but again, those pieces, it's like, our secondary was bad all year, but that's not the reason we lost the game today.
no.
How worried are you though if Ben Johnson leaves?
That's a good question.
I mean,
When
I mean, he deserves a lot of credit for.
I definitely like Ben Johnson. I definitely think Ben Johnson's going to be.
a good head coach.
Yeah, I think Ben Johnson's good at what he does. I think he's creative. I think he's very, very, very good. Um, and I think he is going to leave. But at the same time, I mean, I trust that we'll get. I mean, I can't do anything other than trust Brad Holmes and Dorsey and Spillman, and I mean, these
Campbell.
guys have just hit home runs after home runs after home runs. It's kind of amazing what they've done, and so
What's
I
your
trust that they'll get somebody in there. I mean,
what do you think of Goff after the season? How comfortable are you with him going forward for the next how many
Oh,
years?
that's a very good question. Isn't he a free agent or a protected free agent or something?
No, he's probably gonna get 180 million.
So you would sign him that big deal?
Oh yeah.
How many
Yeah,
years do you think?
I mean,
3.
I'd give him. I'd give him, dude. I'd give him a 4-year, $180 million contract.
440.
Wow.
Yeah, 5-year, $180 million contract.
How old is Goff? He's 30.
Yeah, he's and here he threw for 4,500 yards this year.
No hate on Goff. I think.
No, I'm not either. You just always
I'm
wonder
just
though.
curious.
I mean, do you think this guy can sustain it as your long-term quarterback? Is he the guy?
Well, I mean, with that run game, it gives and not to cut you off, I think, and not to put
he's
words,
29 years old.
He's 29. Cool.
Yeah.
So he's not even 30 yet. But I think with the run game and the offensive line that the Lions have, I think that's the perfect situation for Jared Goff, who's really good when the pocket is clean and when he has a strong run game, because, he is a pocket passer. I've seen him scramble a couple times, but, that's not Jared Goff's game. So I think the Lions will be good with Jared Goff. I think they could sustain it. What do you think, Chris? That's your team.
Well, I think getting Gibbs and Laporta obviously was a huge.
Oh yeah.
I mean, those guys are rookies this year, so.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think Jared Goff. We're going to re-sign him. I mean, if somehow, some way, Josh Allen, we can trade for Josh Allen, that'd be cool. But other than that,
7 Super Bowls for the Lions.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting because you always wonder, like, that's why, we were, well, I mean, here Baker didn't do what Jared Goff did, obviously, but you're always looking. You want to keep your options open down the road just in case. But I agree. I think too. It's gonna be interesting. Who do you think they would replace Ben Johnson? You heard? Is there any names that's been reported yet, or is there anybody in house that can move up? I mean,
yeah,
I think that's a big deal because we've seen some teams when that guy leaves to go take a coaching job, it's hard. They kind of fall off a little bit the next season sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, Mark Brunell is our quarterback coach, but I don't know. I mean, I know who I don't want to see there, and that's Arthur Smith. But even then, though, I mean, he represents the run a lot and stuff like that. I mean, it's actually kind of, we do a lot of what he does, but
Arthur Smith forgets that your best players are on the team, though.
What if Eric Bieniemy becomes available?
I mean,
they just basically swap coordinators with Washington, and
I wouldn't hate that. I mean, Eric Bieniemy would be nice. He brings the toughness that Dan Campbell brings and stuff like that. I also think Aaron Glenn's going to. I think for some reason, I think that Aaron Glenn's going to become the Seattle coach.
Who?
Aaron Glenn.
Where's he at?
He's Detroit's defensive coordinator.
Oh, you think he's going to Seattle? See, I don't know. A lot of people think Dan Quinn. Although why is Mike Vrabel still on the street?
It's amazing to me.
Mike Vrabel. I mean, if I was Seattle, I think Mike Vrabel could pick it right up where Pete Carroll had it and keep it going.
Maybe some of these GMs know something we don't. Maybe there's some extra baggage that we don't know about.
At the end of the day, if we could pick up Vrabel as our D coordinator and Bieniemy as our offensive coordinator, and here Dan Campbell loves former players. Loves them.
That's a hell of a staff if they get that put together. I mean, that's the best staff in the league by far.
And that's one of the things. Quick side note. Oh my God.
What do you say? This is what happens when Browns fans root for the Lions.
I was just watching the game.
Two franchises combined for a 17-point comeback in 8 minutes of play. Sorry, Chris. Shitty loss.
But that's what I like about what the Browns did too in the offseason is all of the coaches we've hired are former players, which I think is a great thing for the locker room.
Thing. I like that too. I think there needs to be more former players involved in coaching than there has been. I think there's been too many of these guys from the computer blues system that sit up and, you know what I mean? These guys, you know it is, Chris. Too many of these guys are getting the jobs, and it's just gone to shit. We need more football guys.
I think
involved.
now more than ever, NFL players are prima donnas, and they have a hard time listening to people who haven't done it.
They don't respect them.
Yeah, and so it's kind of, I think people they're just players relate more better to them, and obviously I think the coaches relate to the players because they've been there. I mean, here we'll save that for another day as far as the Ken Dorsey talk, but yeah, here, I mean, as Mr. 216 says, Vrabel is waiting on OSU season. I mean,
love the
I
Dorsey hire. I called it weeks ago.
But I think that
Vrabel is waiting on OSU. I don't think Vrabel wants to go back to college. That's what I've heard. I don't think he's interested in college.
But here, I think that if you're going to hire Dan Quinn, or if you're going to hire if you're going to hire Dan Quinn or Vrabel, why haven't you already done it?
I just can't believe. Yeah, I agree. Why is Mike Vrabel unemployed? I just don't. You know what I mean? It just doesn't not make any. It's just even Belichick. Chris, I don't know. My dad, are you back?
Yeah, Mike left.
Yeah, I don't know. Mike just dipped. I don't know. My dad's even back yet. So I guess you and I. But what do you think of Belichick though not even being hired yet? I mean, I thought he was going to Atlanta. It looked like it was done. I mean, Bill Belichick and Mike Vrabel. It seems like they're moving the older guys out of the league and bringing these young guys that have no real experience. Some of these guys haven't really called plays yet, and that's who the league's hiring now to be head coaches marching up and down the sideline.
Well, I think Vrabel is different than Belichick. I think Belichick is it's going to be different because obviously he wants more than just, hey, let me just coach the team, and I think that these owners and GMs, they have a hard time with that. These days they want the control, they want the power, they want all those things, they want the accolades, and I think that it's very, I think Belichick will have a hard time, somehow for some reason getting a job this year. But I mean, again, you've heard me. I mean, I think if I'm Cleveland, I'm instantly call him. But anyways, that's neither here nor there.
Topic.
I just think that I think that he, again, I think he'll have a hard time as far as Vrabel goes. I don't know. Here, I don't know why he's not being hired. But like I said, if Aaron Glenn leaves, I will gladly take Vrabel on the Lions. I will. To be completely honest with you, even
Mr.
if he doesn't.
Vrabel he's getting paid this year regardless, so there's no rush from him, which I agree with that. It's just crazy to me though to think he doesn't have a job and some of these other guys are getting hired. You know what I mean? It's just like I think Mike Vrabel's a great coach. He thinks Belichick wants too much power. He's probably going to do TV in his opinion. Maybe. I mean, I think he could definitely do TV. What do you think about the Bills?
What do you mean?
Do you think? I heard some speculation from people. They think fire Sean McDermott and bring in Bill Belichick.
Oh yeah, I disagree with that.
You don't think so? Because I don't know. I don't know if Sean McDermott's the guy long term. To be honest with you,
no,
too many failures in the playoffs.
Possibly. I just don't think that. I don't think Dan Quinn takes that job because here's my point on Dan Quinn. I think if Dallas starts out next year 2-5, McCarthy's fired, and then they'll just promote Dan Quinn. So I don't see Dan Quinn leaving there because I think deep down he wants that Dallas job. And again, why wouldn't he already be hired? To me, it's just like, why wait? So, I don't know. Again, I genuinely think that the Bills are fine. I think McDermott's a good coach, and we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens, but I don't think Bill will obviously get a job this year. And then as far as Vrabel, he's going to have his pick at his D coordinator job for sure. But
Yeah, he'll get the right job. He said, Dan said Belichick would have taken the Atlanta job but wanted Rich McKay fired, and Rich McKay has Polaroids at the owner doing despicable things. LOL. He must
clearly,
have something on him, some type of blackmail or something. I don't know.
Well,
What jobs are? Oh, go ahead.
What's weird is, didn't they move McKay? They like moved him out of football operations and made him like the GM of like McKay's like business or something. I forget what all I read, but I'm pretty sure they hired Raheem Morris and then they moved McKay out of football.
Let me look it up. Oh, Mike said sorry for the Irish goodbye. His neighbor backed into his car when he said to jump off real quick.
Nice.
That's nice. Happy Sunday night. Yeah, what did they do with Rich McKay? Because I actually like the guy they hired. I think Raheem Morris is a good coach. But yeah, I don't know. It's odd to me that these guys are still unemployed. Yeah, it says they made a front office change. They phase out. Yeah, they phased them out again.
Yeah.
It's the second time they've done it.
Yeah. So, why not hire Belichick? That's just that's just whatever. But who knows?
He said coordinators getting promoted to head coach is rare. Yeah, you don't really see a whole lot. I don't like the way the league's trending, though. And I said this the other day on my show, and we've talked about it before. I just these new coordinators, these younger guys that have these Mike McDaniels type guys. I just don't think this is good for the league. You know what I mean? I don't. Andy Reid didn't start calling plays as a head coach until he was 40, and it took him 20 years to win a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? And it's just like the league keeps hiring these guys, not only as their head coach, to be the offensive play callers as well. Which is why I think Stefanski should give it up to Ken Dorsey. You know what I mean? I just don't. I'm not a big fan of my head coach calling plays and trying to manage the team, and because I think it's just too much. And people don't really understand what a head coach has to deal with. He has to manage the entire team. There's a lot of he has to get the team up emotionally. There's a lot that goes into it. If you have an offensive coordinator working with the quarterback, and he's calling the plays himself, his whole job, he can just zone in on the offense. That's it. Just like Ben Johnson does. And there's no distraction. He's not, it's too with Ben Johnson, Chris, he's not very emotional either, which is what you want in a play caller. You don't want your play caller to be very emotional. He always looks very focused, lasered in. You know what I mean? He feels momentum of the game. You want to feel the momentum, but you don't want to be your head coach can get kind of up and down. You look at the Browns a lot of times too. That's why they're so inconsistent. You know what I mean? And the game planning looks just shitty at times, especially going to that Texans game. I don't know.
Yeah, like I mean, I'm a fan of I'm a fan of the a lot of these, like Mike McDonald. I mean, for the Ravens. I mean, I think he deserves a job, and I hear that he's going to Washington to have his second interview. So here, I mean, you never know. I mean, does Ben Johnson come back? I would love to have him back, but again, I mean, when you do well and and you're a young coordinator like he is, he's bound to get a job, but a head coaching job somewhere. But hopefully it's not this year, but is it likely? Yes, I get it. It's likely, but I wouldn't also be surprised if Aaron Glenn goes too. But if that's the case, bring in Vrabel, baby.
Maybe. Dan said Jim Short's getting so in the call plays once he's the interim coach of the Browns in Week 8. Enter Ken Dorsey. Mr. 216, Kevin Stefanski has done an exceptional job calling plays this year. The players just need to do a better job executing. He said Kevin has 2 playoff appearances in 4 years, most since Schottenheimer. Let the man cook. I don't know. I still think they need. I want my offensive coordinator calling plays personally. That's just me. I get he's made 2 playoff appearances, and we've talked about it many times in this show. And Jersey, I know you're back. I don't know. They just you go back and look at that playoff game. They just look very unprepared. And again, I think a lot of it is, and I did a whole show on this the other day. There's not a lot of evidence that proves head coaches calling plays that translates to Super Bowl wins. I mean, Kyle Shanahan might do it this year, but it's taken him a long time. It takes a while usually. It took Andy Reid 20 years. Sean McVay, the year they won it, it's because they spent all that money and gave up all their picks and everything. They went all in, and it's LA. It's a market, so they can do that. They had guys join in the middle of the season. There's not a lot of evidence that proves that translates to Super Bowls.
No, there's not. I don't know if he's done an excellent job. I mean, there's been a lot of games where we were like,
he's not
dude, why are you not running the ball? You should, you know what I mean? It's just
the in-game decision making at times isn't great.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of times we're scratching our head. I think people just have a short memory, and then they're just remembering the last, 2 months with Flacco, and things just click. So, but prior to that, there was a lot of a lot of our episodes were just like, what the hell's going on? So I think he's creative. Yeah, I think he's a good play caller. I just don't think his plays are. I don't think they're. I don't think it's the right system for our quarterback. And like I said, there's like you just said too. There's a lot of times you're just like his in-game decisions. You're just kind of like, what the hell's he doing? I don't think he's. Like I said. I think he's good at it, but I just don't know if
as a head coach. Like I said, I reached out to a coach the other day. When a guy is a head coach, that's a lot to manage. You're managing a whole team. You know what I mean? And to call plays, and you're part of the game planning too. I don't think your game plan. If you have a guy, I think what's best for Deshaun, like I said, having the coordinator, which is now Ken Dorsey, who's calling the plays and also collaborating with Deshaun. There's more communication between the two on the sidelines between him and Deshaun and the play caller, and it also helps the prep. And he can completely key in all week on the game plan.
No, I'm with you on that.
When you're a head coach, you're the head coach. You're part of you control. You run the whole team.
Yeah,
I think he's a better coordinator than a head coach. I don't think. I think Stefanski needs to be a coordinator. I don't think he is a head coach. And that's just me again personally. I think the way that I hate harping on the Browns season and stuff like that. As again, I've mentioned to all of you multiple times, they really didn't beat anyone. Yeah, Watson got hurt, but Watson got hurt. They had a all-class defense, and they played not really good quarterbacks in their run that they had. And to be honest with you, I'd probably would rather have Flacco than most of the quarterbacks they beat in that little stretch where they made the playoffs. And then they run into a good team, and they got absolutely smoked and looked completely unprepared. I don't think that, and again, I know a lot of people will go and be like, well, they beat the 49ers, and I get it. But historically, if you look at West Coast teams playing at 1:00, it never really does well. And again, if Jake Moody doesn't miss 2 field goals, you're not even talking about the Browns winning that game anyways. But other than that, they didn't really beat anyone. I mean, they beat a hurt Joe Burrow in week 1. They beat a hurt Trevor Lawrence. But again, that was when the Jaguars were reeling. And that was close. So
the games of Flacco, they beat Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Davis Mills, I think it was. was it Zach Wilson for the Jets that played that
Yes.
night?
Yes.
And Jake Browning.
Right.
But
So
again, I don't think it was even that. And I agree. Like Mr. I like Mr. 216. He said, "Wow, you guys, all the injuries. Where was the defense in the playoffs?" I agree, but I think the defense, if you go back, preparation was horrible. Preparation. It's like Coach JB says. Shout out to Coach JB on YouTube. He says all the time, players win you games, coaches lose games. And a lot of times it's because lack of preparation. They looked unprepared in that game. And I actually think, I actually disagree with Chris. I think Stefanski is actually a better CEO, head coach, and he even looks like one. I do agree with the injuries and the way the team didn't quit on him. I think he can manage. It's not, I actually think the NFL compared to college and even high school is probably the weakest level of coaching because it's that bad nowadays. You'll ask any of the coaches out there, they'll tell you that. It's pretty bad, but I think he can manage the team, but I just don't know. As being a CEO and a play caller, to me, that's a lot to ask. But again, it was very not a good preparation for. If you could break that game down schematically, how they looked defensively, a lot of breakdowns, a lot of lack of communication. They just looked very unprepared.
they looked horrible. They looked like they forgot there was the playoffs. They just looked like they just didn't. It was.
Yeah,
It was.
and you can't give the coaching staff a pass for that. Like
But
they're the coaching staff. They're in charge.
but Browns fans want to.
What the hell are you doing in practice all week?
But Browns fans want to point to all the injuries, but they beat teams with injuries too.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Like,
hey, that's part of the NFL.
Yeah, you guys played Clayton Tune. For the love of God, that dude, you guys played and beat Clayton Tune. It's just like, okay, cool. Jake Browning.
Well,
these are NFL players, but also it's not like you guys were the only one that had a bunch of injuries.
Well, no. Well, here though, you think about the amount of injuries. Your entire offensive line decimated.
But you also have the best offensive line coach in the NFL.
So it doesn't matter. You're putting in second stringers and third stringers and bringing in guys. You're bringing in guys mid-season. When your O line is, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the Chiefs, the Niners, the Lions. I don't care who you are. If your O line is just in tatters like that, you're not going to win.
But the locker room didn't quit either.
No, here, and I'm going to give Stefanski credit there, and I want to see Stefanski not calling the plays.
But was it Stefanski or was it Callahan?
But the locker room.
At the end of the day, it's ultimately Stefanski that gets the credit because his job is to manage those other coaches.
Well, again, I get he gets the credit, but I'm saying is
he's the one that puts Callahan in place.
What makes a great head coach is the staff he puts around them.
Right. That's what he does. And that's what I want to see him not call plays where he can just focus on everything, because if he's calling the plays in the middle of a game, is he even communicating with Schwartz? Does he have time to? The level of focus, you got to be 10 steps ahead.
Not only that, when Deshaun comes off the sideline, we saw a lot of times Deshaun's sitting mostly with Alex Van Pelt. Kevin will go talk to him for a couple minutes, but he doesn't have that dialogue for as long as the defense is out there. That you need all the dialogue you can get.
I'd be stunned if Stefanski gave up play calling.
Well, I want to see him do that. I want to see the guy walking the sideline. I want to see him talking to guys. That's what a coach needs to be doing, talking to his coaches, not completely dialed out of tune with everything else because he's got to be so focused on calling plays. I just don't think it's the right thing to do. That's why it's always been coordinators calling plays.
He said Kevin Stefanski play calls didn't lose the game. The defense didn't slow down the Texans. The game was over when the defense quit playing. Emerson was trash. Newsome was exposed. I do think Newsome's a liability. I think he's slightly overrated.
Yeah, but we're talking about the whole season. We're not talking about that game.
Oh, I know. No, I agree. I think it's a philosophical thing. Which I think that's why they've made the changes they've made.
Well, I hope I hope to gosh that he's going to give up the play calling, and
I highly doubt it,
because I think I like Stefanski. I think the team needs him, and I say that not the offense, the team needs him to just be a coach. You know what I mean? And
Be the
not be.
CEO.
He needs to be on. I mean, it's like. I mean, Gurgs, let me ask you this: do you think Michigan would have won if Harbaugh would have been suspended the rest of the season, even during the postseason?
I mean, suspended isn't how? Like
He never
on the
got the
sidelines?
Yeah, he was never. Yeah, just completely. Yeah, completely.
Completely gone.
You think they would have beat Alabama without him on the sideline?
I mean, probably not. Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at is the coach is so vital to be talking to everybody, and if he's calling plays, he just can't do that, man. And nobody can do it because they got to be so locked in. So I would love to see. I like I said, I like Stefanski, but I want to see him not call the plays and see what happens.
That's my only thing. I like Kevin. Like I like Mr. 216. He's cool. He said, shaking my head. Oh, no. I actually like Kevin. I just don't think Kevin should be calling. Like we pointed out our reasons. I think he actually be better. Like we said, if he gave up play calling, I think it would help the team. And that's especially now you got Dorsey in here, who I think Deshaun actually co-signed the hire because of the Cam Newton connection. I agree with you, though. That I mean, we've been saying it for a couple weeks now. I think he needs to give up the play calling, but it doesn't mean he's a bad play caller. I think as a head coach, and he's what? He's not even 40 yet, is he, Stefanski?
Probably right around 40.
Right around. He's very young.
Maybe 41, 42, maybe.
Yeah, so I'm saying he's 4 years of being a head coach. Like I said, Andy Reid took over at age 40 of the Eagles and was a head coach and a play caller and had a historic staff he hired. Go look at that staff. All those guys wanted to be head coaches. And it took him 20 years to win a Super Bowl as a play caller and a head coach. But is Andy Reid a bad coach? No, but it took him a long time to get there.
Well, here's the other thing. If I felt like his play calling was suitable for Watson, then I might be okay with it. I just don't think his system matches up with Watson. That's all. That's what's most important to me.
One system,
right?
So he's just going to call a new system he's never called before.
No, that's what I'm saying.
That's what I know. You and I are thinking the same. That's why you bring in Ken Dorsey because he's going to bring in a new philosophy that he's called plays in. You can't ask a guy that has been his bread and butter his whole career. Hey, we're going to switch up. I'm going to switch a whole new system I know nothing about.
That's what I'm saying. And you can't ask a guy you're guaranteeing $230 million to, and you still got 3 years left with him. Only got 3 years left with him to all of a sudden change who he is and what he does to fit your system. It just doesn't make sense.
He said, "What if the Browns get worse if he gives up play calling?"
Well, then they need another OC.
Yeah, that means they didn't hire the right guy.
But here, the thing is they're going to get worse. And they're going to get worse not because he would give up play calling. They're going to get worse because they're going to actually play teams that are healthy. And they're going to play a tougher road. And
Yeah, but they'll be healthy too.
What?
They'll be healthy too.
Yeah, but they're an absolute cap catastrophe. They gotta make a lot of decisions on a lot of players.
I don't know. Here, if you get your quarterback that you traded for up to par, and you still got Myles Garrett, and you still got a lot of your core pieces already under contract, it's all about getting Deshaun up to par. That's all it's about. Getting him back to that elite Pro Bowl form. And if they don't do that, then it don't matter how much money they got or anything. It ain't gonna matter. You have to have that quarterback. They've never had it.
Well, I agree. I mean,
you know what I'm saying? But I mean, what I don't like either is I don't want to see them try to do the same thing next year that they've been doing, and then let's ask Deshaun to go out there try to go play in a system you don't fit in, and if it doesn't work out, then all the blame just goes on him, and it's just an easy cop out. It's all Deshaun's fault. Now we move off of him, and we get to keep our jobs. You know what I mean? Which
right.
That's not. They can't repeat what happened this year at the end. The ending result cannot happen again next year. Guys are getting a little older. Like you said, Chris, you got a certain amount of time. I don't know. I mean, I don't. What he say? We thought we were in cap hell this season too. Trust AB. Let him worry about the cap. I actually don't think the cap is as bad as people think. I mean, I don't. If you look around the NFL, cap usually doesn't really impact teams as much. I mean, it didn't really impact the Rams 2 years ago. They're already back to a playoff contender. I don't know. You got, as long as you have your quarterback and your main core pieces, you'll be around. But they have to get Deshaun going. They got to get the quarterback going.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to, QB play. So and here they're in the caps. We got more and more. They're gonna.
It's gonna go up. Eventually, quarterbacks are gonna have their own cap space. It's coming. Yeah, and that cap's going up. All this Amazon money coming in. They've been saying it for 2 years now. They said, "Get ready, it's going up." That cap's going up, and eventually. But they're not the only team that's dealing with it either. Look at all the other teams. I mean, look at the team, the Bengals, who are historically cheap. They just gave Joe Burrow, what was it, like $270 million contract?
Well, I don't blame them.
They're going to be padlocking the freaking Gatorade machines down there.
Right, like they did before.
Right, yeah, which they've done before. The Kentucky Bunk, they're padlocking machines. That's how cheap it is. They look cheaper than the Guardians almost. But
I don't know. They look cheaper than them.
Yeah, I don't know. All these new ownership pieces, and they look even cheaper. But by the way, I mentioned that the other day. Is there a team that's like nobody's talking about in Cleveland other than the Guardians? Like no enthusiasm at all.
Who the hell are Guardians?
Exactly. Do you even know who's on the roster?
I haven't. As far as I'm concerned, we haven't had a baseball team, and since they took the name away, I mean that's our base. That's gone. I mean, how the hell? I mean, I don't know. And here's a lot of people. The team's going away. That's the beginning of moving a team, changing a name, and the team's going away. I heard it from a very reliable source, and people who know me know who I'm talking about and know where it came from. The team's being moved. Just a matter of time.
I mentioned it the other day. It came from the top itself.
Right.
So
which
is a shame.
I don't even pay attention to them. It's a joke. So let's put out $60 million a year payroll. Because our only goal is to make the playoffs just so we get TV revenue. We don't even care if we win.
Dan said, "Can Stefanski coach baseball and go too?"
God.
Yeah.
I tell you.
Terrible.
Oh God. I'm just doing it to myself watching this Lions recap. Like, my God.
Yeah.
We saw this Super Bowl 4 years ago?
Yeah. Right before COVID.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Right. It's just the same teams.
It probably saved me a bunch of money because, to be honest with you, I probably would have been really tempted to go.
Chris could be out in Vegas.
Yeah, so
I'm not gonna lie to you, Chris. I was gonna pull the trigger if they won on a Barry Sanders jersey. I still want to, but it's hard to find. That thing sold out after that documentary. But I do want to get that jersey. But yeah,
oh man,
who do you guys like next week or 2 weeks from now? Excuse me. No, not the Pro. Yeah, excuse me. 2 weeks from now. Anybody watch the Pro Bowl? Is it like a flag football thing though?
That's horrible.
Yeah.
My gosh, that's the other thing. What is it? I mean, that tells you to stay with the NFL. They're promoting flag football. How you gonna put that on TV? Right.
I think the Niners are the better team. I think that they're gonna win.
Yeah.
I think the Niners, man, the Niners just seem like they just got the ability to just turn it on. I mean, they just seem like, I mean, you got that front four on defense. You know, they've been there a lot. I mean, they're always playing late in the season, so it's not like they're inexperienced. I mean, Brock Purdy's inexperienced, but the Niners should win that game. But I
Dan
don't know.
says
I mean, Mahomes
Chiefs
just does some
27.
crazy shit, man.
Dan says Chiefs 27, 49ers 23. Brock Purdy won't be able to handle the moment.
All right, that could be the key, but
Which he
Handled
has
it
though.
pretty well
He has
tonight.
in the playoffs. Yeah, I mean he did last week and this week. I thought the Lions when they got ahead, I didn't think he would come back. Well, because I don't think he can sit in the pocket and make throw. But I don't know. It's gonna be interesting too because it could be if the Chiefs know, it could be Andy Reid's last game too. I mean, that's a big motivating factor. I mean, both teams can be motivated, obviously, but they want to get that win for him on the way out.
I think that I think the Niners that here their pass rush wasn't necessarily effective today or against Green Bay, but those are some of the best two offensive lines in the NFL. I think that the Niners are gonna. I mean, the Chiefs O line's good, but it ain't great, and I think those rushers will get home and rattle Mahomes, and then again, I mean, I think against the 49ers, you got to score with them, and I don't know if I don't know. I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
I like Mr. 216. He said, "Y'all still discrediting how great the Chiefs are. Shanahan ain't ever won shit." I agree with you. I think Shanahan has been overrated. Dad, you even said that before too. Yeah, won shit.
we're not discrediting the Chiefs. We're just saying
No.
I just think the Niners are going to win. I mean, here, Bill Belichick didn't win every year. You know what I mean? So we just think that the Niners are going to win.
Well, I think it's time for. I agree with him though. He hasn't won shit. It's time for him to win something finally.
Well, yeah.
He's always come up short.
I don't think anyone's discrediting the Chiefs at all. I mean, they're. I mean,
who's got the best player here? The best player is Christian McCaffrey.
They've been.
Well, Mahomes is the best player in the field.
They've been.
I don't know.
They've been to the Super Bowl 4 out of 6 years. I mean, there's no one discrediting them. I just think that I don't know. I think the Niners.
Well, not only that, like you said earlier, Chris, you feel like Baltimore really lost that game more than the Chiefs won it today too. And I think the Ravens had that game in hand. And I don't. Do you think the 49ers would do some of the same things the Ravens did in terms of mistakes? And because they didn't show it today in that second, like you said, they just turned it up. They look like a well-oiled machine when they're rolling, but they're so good up too in the trenches as well. It's gonna be tough. Tan said, just a reminder, Mike Vrabel played for the Chiefs. That's interesting to see.
Yeah, he can go there. Yeah, if Reed does retire, I mean, if they win a Super Bowl, does Kelsey retire?
Please, I hope he does.
I mean,
God,
you never know.
Jeez,
even if they don't win the Super Bowl, does he just hang it up? Right off into the sunset.
He mentioned it.
Him, Reed, and Taylor Swift. They ride out into the. So
well, he might. Yeah, he might. He might want to roll out with his brother at the same time. I mean,
they can make the Hall of Fame together. Yeah. I mean, here you never know. But yeah, I think that the Niners are just all around the better team.
All right. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Of course, Mahomes is the better quarterback. And of course,
yeah, I'm not even. He was the better quarterback today by a lot, and I think that's. I mean, you saw that at the end of that throw he made to Scantling at the end of the game, and just the throws he's able to make throughout the game. The Mahomes throws, that's the difference. Lamar can't make those kinds of throws. Mahomes can, and especially in crunch time.
And can they win? Absolutely, they can win.
But hell yeah!
I think that obviously, the Niners have athletic linebackers that can roll with Kelsey, and I mean, Good luck. I mean,
Deshaun Gibson, who's a you guys sold a car to.
Oh yeah, gotta get him hung.
Yeah.
F him. But no, this one hurts. It hurts.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard to fall asleep tonight thinking about that second
Where does this
half.
one rank on the all-time for as a Lions fan as bad losses that hurt?
I mean, I don't even think in the top 10. I mean, obviously, I mean, you gotta be thankful that they got here. I mean, again, it is late January and the Detroit Lions just ended their season. I mean,
Yeah.
that is the first time I've been able to say that, honestly, since I was 2 years old. I mean, it's just at what point you got to just, here, great year. We're building, Dan Campbell went 3-13-1, 9-8, 12-5. It's just, he just keeps building and building and here we got to get a couple more pieces and hopefully, figure out our coordinator situation if they do move on. But, you can't look at it as a whole, and just be disappointed because
You got to take the loss and roll with it.
At the end of the day, one team only hangs gets the rings. So,
well, I mean, here it's impressive what they did too with two rookies as their key offensive players too. Like that, that's impressive. That's not very often you see that.
And St. Brown's young. St. Brown's young. I mean,
Jameson Williams still young, coming off the injury. Yeah, I mean they're pretty young. I mean Taylor Decker's been around a while. I like him as the O lineman, Buckeye guy.
Penei Sewell's young.
Penei Sewell, yeah. I mean they got some guys up front. Yeah, they'll still be around. I think the OC thing they'll have to figure out for sure. Yeah, Hutchinson,
Campbell.
Al Hutchinson was not taken number one.
Yeah,
I wonder what Jacksonville thinks. Thanks a lot, Jacksonville. If you're a Lions fan, yeah, it's interesting. He said, Chris, you'll only be 67 years old when they go back to the NFC Championship game. Still plenty of time. Dad, did that remind you, before we get out of here real quick, you told the story many times. What happened the day when you were a kid and when the drive happened? And because that's kind of what that today was like for us back then. Well, I was around, but Browns fans, that was our, main one.
Oh, it was horrible. I mean, I told you I was Jim, your Uncle Jim and I had two other brothers that lived like right around the corner from us. So we could literally like go through our backyard and through another yard in their yard. So we were always over their house and in the middle of the game, we decided to go out in the front yard and play football. And I knew when that play happened because I could hear throughout the neighborhood people screaming and not screaming in a good way, but and just like almost like wailing. Like, I mean, people, you could just hear people moaning and I mean, it was crazy. And and then have the fumble too. So yeah, it was horrible. That Zay Flowers thing reminded me of Biner so much. I mean, that's good. That's gonna be one of those plays. Probably not quite as bad as Biner's because they've won Super Bowls, but yeah, that's what it was. It was terrible. I mean, it was just I still remember it vividly. Just like I just stood there. I was like, I couldn't believe what the hell I was hearing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I could hear it from houses like, damn near 150. I mean, around the corner on another block, I could hear it. I mean, it was you could just hear it everywhere. It wasn't just one house. It was just like it was. I mean, it was damn near every house you could hear it. It was the craziest thing in the world.
Yeah, Mr. 216 said I was in grade school when the drive happened and the fumble. The energy of the city was unforgettable, prior to the unfortunate events.
Yeah, this guy's the same age as me because I've told people that. I mean, everything, the energy was something like I've never seen. I mean, everything became about the Cleveland Browns. Even in school, everything was about the Browns. Every sign outside every restaurant, Browns. Specials on pizza, Browns. Every song on the radio, Browns. I mean, it was just crazy. It was like our entire life was the Cleveland Browns, and you talk about a lot of emotion in the buildup, and then when those 2 years when that happened, I mean, it's no wonder people still feel the way they feel, and there's probably people that were adults when it happened that just still feel that pain. You know what I mean? It's just for him and I, we were just kids. We still remember it, but can you imagine like people that were
Like
adults?
My grandfather.
Yeah, or just people that were adults, and
Yeah.
you know, it was. I'm telling you though, the emotion, Northeast Ohio, there's nothing that's ever matched it. Nothing. There's
I've
nothing.
never felt it in my lifetime. I'm 24 years old, so the only 2 seasons I've ever had was the 2020, the COVID year. We made the playoffs. Well, you couldn't really feel it though because nothing was normal. And so, but this year though, when they leading up to the playoff, we thought we had a shot the way Flacco was playing. And I remember you told me lead up to that playoff game, you're going to start to see the energy like you've never seen as a fan. You were right. I remember going in like gas stations, had my hat on, and you know, me and the guy, like the clerk at the counter, like he would just bring it up to you, like, "What do you think about the playoffs? Think we got a shot?" Like everybody would just start talking. That was the first time in my life this year I've ever felt that as a Browns fan.
Right.
And I'm 24,
and that was just a very, very, very small fraction of what it was small in the 80s.
Yeah, and I've never. The only thing I've ever felt is, you know, as a Buckeyes fan, obviously the energy's high. But that's you're used to that. And when LeBron came back, that's the only time I've ever felt. There's 3 things as a Cleveland sports fan: the day LeBron came back, when they won the championship, and I actually think the day they traded for Deshaun, because you never thought they'd pull off a trade like that. But that never happened. To get a quarterback like that, you know what I mean? So, but the other 2, most importantly, when LeBron came back and going up to Cleveland that day, that's the only time I ever felt. But as a Browns fan, in my lifetime,
that day LeBron came back was great, and the energy that summer going into the season. But it's still
that's just my lifetime. That's all I'm getting.
Oh yeah, but I'm just saying,
you know more than me though about that.
I remember what that feeling was like, and we went down to Infocision for that event he had. You know what I mean? So
I'd say, you know what? Don't forget that Deshaun, when the Indians made the World Series in '16, that was pretty special too. But
it was. But see, I got to see a lot of Indians World Series back in the '90s, but none of it was a pale comparison to the Browns in the '80s.
Right.
I mean, it was just there was nothing else that even mattered. I mean, there was places closing. I mean, places closed.
Yeah, he said it was deflating. Grown people were crying, sickening.
Yeah, it's freaking crazy, man. But it was just awesome.
Jersey, did Little Joe show you the Jared golf chants at high school cheerleading competitions this week and everything like that?
No, that's it.
There were at every basketball game, hockey game, and every game this week there was Lions and Jared golf chants. Yesterday at the Royal Rumble, you were watching, and there was a guy that was parked right in the middle, and he would go and he had a "Let's Go Lions" "Let's Go Lions" sign up.
Yeah.
And then also at a high school cheerleading competition, state finals, it broke out in "Let's Go Lion" and Jared golf chants. So I think this week was the closest I've heard about, you know, something like that too. You know, it just everything was Detroit in Michigan this week.
And here's another thing. I don't know if you saw this, but General Motors closed their plants down.
Yeah.
So, you know, before the game started, so the employees could watch the game. I mean, that's pretty crazy.
Have you ever seen that, Chris? You're from inner city Detroit. Have you ever seen that in your lifetime?
I never felt it, man. Like I said, I've had about my everyone in my contact list has pretty much everyone has texted me, "Let's go Lions." I mean, as Dan said, it might have been the reason why we lost. Browns fans, too many Browns fans and Lions fans hoping. But all my phone was, let's go Lions, let's go Lions, let's go Lions. I mean, it was definitely something special. I wish we would have got it done, but it was definitely crazy.
Dan said at least the world doesn't have to watch Jared Goff put up another 3-point performance in the Super Bowl.
Shut up, Dan.
Then Dan said, my neighbor walked to my house with his Kozar jersey on in his underwear and put a cigarette out on my German Shepherd and told me to get a job. I was 6 years old. Just kidding, obviously. But, all right. Well, shout out to everyone coming on tonight. Shout out to Mr. 216. Appreciate your interaction on the show. Welcome. You can come back anytime. Come join our panel. And shout out to you. We love the feedback. And go Browns. I know Chris still go Lions. Go Ohio State too. They've done a nice job, so I'm happy with that. Oh my man, Chad. What's up, Chad? What's going on, man? Hope you're doing well. Tell the fam I said hey. He said, "Oh, love the show, guys. Go Browns. Appreciate you."
Oh yeah.
And, welcome back. Come on our panel anytime, my friend. We'd love to love the interaction. Although Dan thinks you're actually Kevin Stefanski. But no, yeah, anybody's welcome. We have a good time.
Mike's Kevin Stefanski.
Yeah, Mike's. But yeah, come on the
It's
show
Mike
anytime,
Stefanski.
and, we're all just regular guys up here. We love to have fun and joke around and talk sports and hang out and kick back. So anybody's welcome. Shout out to everybody. But you guys got any closing remarks? Chris, you got any closing remarks for your Lions?
I'm gonna go cry.
Well, you would have been crying regardless. You said if they would have made it, you would have cried.
Yeah.
So,
But at least those would have been happy tears.
yeah, tears of joy. No, it's tears of sadness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I had one of my salespeople said, just remember when you walk in tomorrow that we're all Browns fans and we understand, or something like that, to which, it is what it is. But
Dan said at least you have the Pistons.
Yeah. We it's on to the draft.
On to the drafts, yep.
Yep. I can't wait for the draft. I'm a big draft guy. So
man. Chad said my closing remarks, Taylor Swift is going to be the real Super Bowl MVP. Yeah, you're probably right on that one. She's going to get the most airtime. I know that.
Grief.
It could be Andy Reid's last game, and he won't even get the farewell he deserves.
Right. I'm so sick of it.
Man.
What has happened to the game of football? At least in the NFL.
Yeah, come on back. We'll be doing some mock draft stuff, obviously, coming up here pretty soon. So, yeah, come on in with your sleepers. And we've already mentioned some guy. I think we talked about Jacob Cohen out of Arizona. Wide receiver, really like him a lot as a late, maybe mid-round guy we can get, but we'll get into it. Yeah, Brendan Rice. We mentioned him. Marshawn Lloyd. So, yeah, we'll get into it for sure. It should be pretty interesting. But, well, Chris, we'll be checking in on you. So, hope you get some sleep tonight. I know it's a sad day for
Chris. At the end of the day, it's just entertainment, dude. It's just football.
I know, but darn it, I was entertained.
Well, I know. We can't don't put your identity in your team. It's just sports.
He said, y'all got to discuss the UFL here at some point? Probably not. Dan might know more about that than
I'm going to try watching that. I mean, it's just such when football's over. Like, for me, football's over. Because I'm not a fan of the Super Bowl.
I know Dan actually. Dan, I know if you're still watching, you mentioned one time maybe we tried doing like a trial, like a test of calling a game live as it happens. Let's see.
And what the hell else we're gonna watch? We're gonna have to watch this UFL.
Also, Dan, the Pistons beat the best team in the NBA right now, which is the Thunder. Today. That's when I knew the Lions were done.
It'll probably still be the Nuggets and the whoever else out of the East. I don't know.
But
unless maybe the Lakers get a trade. I'm sure they got one coming, DeMar DeRozan. But
I'm proud of myself that I actually made it to the show because I really thought about
DeJounte Murray will be a Laker. Sorry, Chris.
I'm proud of myself that I made it on this show because I thought about just curling up in a ball and crying. So I needed it. It was therapy tonight. It was therapy.
Yeah, you come on here and rant. You know what I mean? Let it out. You want to drop a couple? I told my dad, I said, I never heard Chris cuss, but I wonder if tonight's tonight because it's the way they lost. But he held his composure.
No, yeah.
He did a great job, like always. Did a great job.
Chris tries to, yeah, and I am talking in third person, but I definitely try to stay, despite disappointment, stay true to who I am.
Yeah. yeah, I give you credit that you always come on no matter what. So some people, they duck the smoke or they duck coming on regardless, you know. So
You know what I hate?
Chris is a man of his word.
Car commercials. I do. I just despise car commercials.
He said, Mr. 206 said, you're handling this better than most Browns fans. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I've seen some out here. I've been a part of some. Oh boy, yeah, definitely is.
At least at least the Wolverines won a national title.
All right.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I was
what do you,
really.
Oh yeah, what do you think of Sharon Moore? You getting hired? And I heard that,
of course,
Will Johnson, maybe Mason Graham, and I think it was Cornelius or not Cornelius. Who's the the tight end Loveland? Excuse me, might be hitting the portal though.
Oh, stop.
Okay, I'm just telling you.
You're going to have guys hit the portal, dude.
They're talking about hitting the portal.
I know that. I know it's coming.
I mean, there's no guarantee that this guy is going to be a great coach.
Of course not.
You know what I mean?
I wasn't. I'm not. But I think it's a no-brainer that you give him the job. I mean, I think that, you know, from what he did, and you know, it seems like he's you know, the guy for the job, but you never really know. I mean, I think next year probably is not going to be a good year for us. You know, our schedule is crazy hard, and you know,
you guys got a gauntlet next year. God,
yeah, and
I hope I hope everybody beats USC though.
But you know, at the end of the day, I mean, you guys have you know, wrote a blank check to about 70 different players, and you know, I mean, you guys are going all in.
That's right. You got no choice.
Well, here it's in our favor now. We have the most money. And that's what college football is about now.
At the end of the day, you guys have Ryan Day.
He's doing the right thing, though.
Well, you got that kind of talent out there, though, dude.
Mm-hmm. So he's been to the Natty game, so
yeah.
I mean, he's been there.
But yeah, it's going to be it'll be a fun season. Like I said, I'm looking forward to the NFL draft. What the Lions do, you know, but at the same time, it's just like, I don't even know if I even want to watch it, because I mean, I can never question Dorsey and Holmes, because those dudes just eat the NFL draft. I mean, you know, I had a lot of haters question Gibbs, Dan, and that dude straight cash, although today he fumbled, but yeah, I mean, that man, they got a bunch of studs. So
yeah, they look good.
Yep.
All right,
go Lions! I'm proud of them.
Sorry for the Irish goodbye. Somebody smashed into the back of his car. I'm not trying to laugh, but the way he sent the text, somebody backed into his car. So he had to leave suddenly. So I'm gonna give Mike. Antonace had to drop. He had to leave because he said somebody hit the back of his car.
Gosh.
So I'm gonna give Mike a call after this. But you guys want to tell them why they need to like, subscribe, and share?
What 216 said. I mean, it's just great. As I say every week, great content. It's not biased like the regular media, and we got different points of view. You know, we got a Michigan guy, we got a High State guy, we got
a Falcons fan.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And anyone can come on. Fan. Anyone can come on, no matter who you like. You know what I mean? So,
well,
great show.
everyone except for that one dude that said "Bye Bye Lions" earlier on the show.
Oh, yeah, your good friend. Where is he?
Astro Juicy can stay at home.
We pull it. Where's? Oh yeah, right here. He said, "Bye bye Lions." So
Here we are. We take it all. You know what I mean?
Oh, we get some crazy comments towards us. So
I mean, hell, Chris, I was playing Willie Nelson to you yesterday. You know what I mean?
Well,
it's just all in fun.
Yeah, it ain't personal with us.
Right.
Yep. I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, I'll probably talk
eat
this
away
week.
my feelings.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Later.
Bye.
Chad said I need to get on the show sometime. Yeah, anytime, Chad. Hit me up. You got my actually send me a message after the show. I'll send you my number so we can get
Absolutely.
contact.
Come on, Chad.
How often do you guys have live podcasts? Usually on Sunday nights. Right. We usually do the weekends. If we do on maybe Monday nights, but somewhere between Saturday and Monday, usually Sunday nights. And then I have a recorded show I do in the middle of the week. Sometimes I do sports, but I also specialize in mental health here and spiritual growth as well. So my channel is very diverse. A lot of the foundation of my channel is my journey with anxiety and overcoming anxiety and panic and agoraphobia that I battled with for 9-10 years. So, and it's sports we like to do for fun. And but yeah, so mainly on Sundays we do the lives, and we got actually a local guy who's on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show I've been in contact with. He wants to come on here maybe next weekend. So stay tuned for that. We'll get him on, and he said he works in mental health, so perfect. And
awesome. God bless you, man.
God bless you, and
come on here
more
anytime. People like you.
Yeah, it's an open platform. Everybody wants to come here and share their story or something you got on your mind. This is an open platform. We like to turn live sometimes too into real life talk too. It doesn't have to be just about football. So I want this to be an open platform for the regular people. You know, when I do things, it's for the people. So I'll always be like that. So love all you guys. And got anything else to add?
No, here. Just 216 doing worthwhile work, man. That's awesome. I love to hear that, because it's obviously become a very important thing to me over the years. So let's just
check out some of our previous content too. We've done on it. We've done some. My dad did a video recently about parents with kids with mental health issues or concerns. That's a good one. You can go look at my first video I ever did. Very raw and uncut and nervous. That's my most viewed one still this day. Almost 2 years ago it'll be. It's crazy. It's almost 2 years ago in 2 months. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
Gee, gone by fast. But yeah, we got plenty of content over here I've done. So check that out. We're also on Rumble too. We got some videos over there. But yeah, check us out. So let's see. Well, we got one more comment here. Oh yeah, I forgot, Chad. I'm in mental health too, and I'm in the court systems. I'd love to chat about that. Yeah, so I know you and I have talked about that before. So hit me up after this. I'll send you my number. We'll get in contact.
God bless you too, Chad.
Maybe we'll do like
doing the Lord's work.
Yeah, and shout out to tell the fam I said hello too. So, all right. Well, you got anything else, Dad, before we get out of here?
No, just great comments. That's the best part, man. Getting the comments. Just more and more people watching.
How do I find you guys? You can find me on. You'll see it in the outro too. You can find me on. He's not on social media.
I'm about as old school as it gets. 216.
Yeah, it's like he still lives back in the 80s. So
I'm anti-social. Well, I like to socialize. I'm anti-social
media.
Yeah.
You can find me on here. Subscribe here and share this if you wouldn't mind. And my link tree is down below. I'll put it down below on another video. But you can find me on Instagram and Facebook. You'll see it in the outro as well. I have an email as well. So yeah, cool. Well, we'll see you guys in the next one. Love all you guys. Like, subscribe, share all the good stuff. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one. We're out of here.
Oh.